Last year, the city made a neighborhood connection with the community of Adelaide Elementary School, where city officials got to hear your concerns firsthand. Tonight, the city returns to Adelaide to deliver its progress report on today's edition of New Day Federal Way Neighborhood Connection. Hi, I'm Kathy Arndt, your host of New Day Federal Way. Today, City Hall returns to Adelaide to reconnect and hear from the community. Let's go inside and check on their progress.
Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the first Neighborhood Connection meeting of the year. As you may remember, many of you, how many people were here last year for the Neighborhood Connection meeting? That's great. I think out of all the neighborhoods, we did 6 of these last year. I think we had 170 plus people here last year. So it's great to see many of you again. It's great to see folks that weren't here last time. And you know what we're going to do. The most important part of the evening, I want to tell you. I should start off by saying I'm Jim Farrell. I'm your mayor. I really appreciate you being here. The idea of these meetings is to bring City Hall to you. So one of the things we're going to be doing, we've got a recording here. We'll talk about New Day Federal Way. We've got department directors that are here. We've got folks with the police department. We've got our council, and we'll go through that. I want to give you a brief glimpse of what we're doing in the mayor's office, tell you a little bit about what's going on, not only with police and public works, but the most important part of the evening is to hear from you. And so we're going to try to, I've told our folks, and I've told them to tell me not talk too much or too long. So I've even got the timer on the clicker here. So we want to keep it brief and make sure that we hear from you, because again, that is the most important part. The reason why we called it Neighborhood Connection is because we didn't want to just do a one and done set of town hall meetings. What we wanted to do is make sure, and I said this last year, that we were going to come back. And when we came back after the first one, we wanted to give you an update on where we're at with crime in your neighborhoods, construction projects, and some progress reports on where we're at with the big projects with the city. This is what we're going to talk about today, the vision. We'll have a presentation from a dispute resolution center that someone the judge is working with, public works, parks, police, city council, and then neighborhood feedback. But again, we're going to go through this pretty quickly. We've got a great city council. Could the members of the city council, could you either raise your hand or there's Deanie Duclos, Lindy Asep. Let's give them a big round of applause. This is Deputy Mayor Burbidge, Council Member Deanie Duclos, and Council Member Lydia Seppa Dawson. And do we have another council member here? Martin Moore is going to be here in a little while. And when folks come in, I'll make sure that they're introduced. They've been great partners in policy, and we have accomplished so much in the past year. So everything that we talk about, what we've done, it means the council, myself, and our great staff. We're really fortunate to have those folks. That was when we did the rollout for the police cars, the new look of the police cars last year. I talked about it when we were here, but we're going to a more black and white. I want to let everybody know that didn't cost any more than what they already were costing. This is our management team. The folks that are working on the management team, could you raise your hand and be acknowledged? Thank you very much. They do great work. So let's talk about what we're up to. And we talk about the mayor's and council's vision. We meet in our, once a year at our retreat, and we talk about what our vision is and where we're going. And we've really got an aggressive agenda, and we really talk a lot about what the long-term vision of Federal Way is. That's really the great part about public policy, because it's all about the future. One of the things we want to do is not just it's one thing to have a plan, but a plan is meaningless without action and action steps. So let's talk about what we're doing. That was our first Neighborhood Connection meeting on the far left there at Brigadoon. We had 6 last year, and we're going to consolidate some and do 4 this year. Kathy, my assistant in the back, would you please raise your hand? Many of you may have seen her on Channel 21. Her day job is working in my office, and then what we've been doing also is putting new programming on Channel 21 where we show the 4th of July or the MLK events and events that are happening in your community. How many people have seen at least one of the programs on Channel 21? That's great. This is the first new programming we've had on Channel 21 for probably 5 years. Oh, and then we had that Seahawk rally. We've had a number of rallies and events in the community, like the Christmas tree event and all of that. So one of the things we're doing is creating a sense of community, a sense of pride. Gary, thank you very much for all the work you've done with our boxes, and you work with the Arts Commission, and thank you so much for the work you've done. What we've done, you could see those are just the number 12s, and so one of the things, like at the Red Robin on 320th or at Town Square Park or different things, we're taking these ugly utility boxes and dressing them up. This one is by the Sound Transit parking garage, and that's very helpful. This was the new sign that we have. Let me use the pointer here. This is the new sign that we have coming into Federal Way on 320th to make sure that we have a really, really nice entry, and we're able to, that's actually a picture quality right there. That's actually the picture that we had of the 12th Man Rally right before the Super Bowl at City Hall. But what we have here is we've got the service organizations in town that help pay for that sign. And so what was really a discussion item about having a new entryway sign that had been talked about for years, within the past 12 months, we were able to move on this. And now whenever you drive by, you'll have, in fact, this meeting was advertised on that sign for the past couple of weeks. How many people have seen the huge flag on now Veterans Way? 25, isn't that great? It was really, Bob Kellogg, a longtime neighbor in this area, just came up with the idea. We had, close to 1,000 people there. It was absolutely fantastic. And after May 1st, you're going to see the smaller flags on what's been renamed honorarily Veterans Way. So that's been a lot of fun. In fact, we had Patty Murray there for the event, King County Councilman Pete von Reichbauer, and that gives you this gives you a flavor of how many people were there. We actually shut down 320th for it. It was just a great day. This is our new logo for the city, and this is our 25th anniversary. So on June 20th, Saturday, June 20th, we're going to have at Town Square Park, we're going to have a big celebration. And so the theme of our 25th year is celebrating our past, building our future. And it is really exciting about all the things we're doing. So put that on your calendar because we're hopefully going to have the governor there, and it's going to be a great event. So downtown economic development, we've really developed an idea called Town Center. We own that property, which is the former AMC movie theater site. That's now Town Square Park. We're obviously moving on the Performing Arts and Conference Center, which should be done by next December. And then the property right next to it is the former Target site is going to be redeveloped, and we're going through that process right now. So this is what it was. That's the former Target site that we purchased. That's what Town Square Park used to look like, and what the old Toys R Us. That, I know when I first saw these pictures before my State of the City address, I had forgotten what it looked like, and it's just really, it's blight. And this was the center of our downtown. And so one of the things that I thought was absolutely essential and that the council has been great partners on is making sure that we address the blight in the heart of our downtown, and we create really put the resources and the time and the energy and the vision to making a community, a city core that we're proud of. Because, really the most important part of our investments as individuals are our homes. And our homes are situated in our city. We cannot allow our downtown to fail. And so this is what it's starting to look like now. That's what the future Performing Arts and Conference Center is going to look like. That's what Town Square Park looks like today. And by next summer, Town Square Park will have a water feature, a splash park for the kids, a covered area. It'll have 3 times the amount of grass, roughly 3 times the amount of grass that it has now. And it'll be a true town center park utilizing all 4 acres. But that's really the hub, the beating heart of what will be our downtown. This is what we're talking about Town Center. So just to orient you, there's the parking garage there. That's where Town Center Park is. It's going to look amazing. And I would encourage you right now, actually the day after we have our 25th anniversary celebration at Town Square Park, we're going to bring in the bulldozers and start the new Town Square Park that's just going to be amazing, a jewel in the middle of our community. Here is where the PAC is going to go, the Performing Arts and Conference Center. Now this will transform our downtown. And I had been a longtime critic, as many of you know, about this facility. But we commissioned the Blue Ribbon Panel, and we actually believe not only is this going to be self-sustaining and make sure that it creates the kind of investment and energy in our downtown, but we've really gone through the metrics and make sure that it's not a drain on city resources. So we're working through that, and I would really encourage you to watch that as it starts to develop. And construction should break ground on that property, I would say, in September of this year. And it's really, already, it has just completely energized what we're doing in our downtown and the interest in our downtown. So this is where the former Target site is at, and we're working right now with potential developers to break ground on that, knock down the old Target, and really, once we acquired this property, that's when we coined the phrase town center, and creating this sort of synergy and getting it moving. Very exciting stuff. So again, the park will be finished next summer. The PAC will be finished probably next December or January of December 17th. And the TC3, we call these Town Center 1, 2, and 3. Town Center 1, Town Center 2, Town Center 3. And Town Center 3 will probably close or work on a final agreement with a developer by, I would say, either August or September. So we had a great budget cycle thanks to the council. And while it seems like with the PAC and the park and the 5 new officers and some of the things we're doing, one would naturally be concerned about the financial numbers. But we've never been in better financial shape. We have a structurally balanced budget for the first time. And what that means is that all ongoing expenses are met by ongoing revenues, not one-time funding where you're out there on a limb. And so that's, no new taxes. We added 5 new police officers and strategic investments like we've talked about, even putting $300,000. Okay, so let's go through this because I'm already kind of over time, you guys. Economic growth, you've heard it in the paper. We've got Seattle Children's Hospital coming for an investment of about $15 million. Progressive this was the national CEO of Progressive Insurance. Where is he? Right there. And he was in town. I wanted to know where Flo was, but we only got our picture with the Flo cutout. We didn't get a picture with Flo herself. So we've got the Children's Hospital coming. We've got the Commons Mall reinvestment. It just looks a lot better there. They've pumped $27 million into the mall, $10 million in local hotel redevelopment, and Ulta, which is a much better looking building. Okay, and again, I don't want to go over this, but we're working on a city strategy. Outreach. We've got the first economic development task force, development downtown. We're really working hard on Weyerhaeuser, and we meet weekly, or I think it's either bi-weekly or weekly with Weyerhaeuser, depending on their schedules. But Weyerhaeuser has contracted with a company called Heartland to help sell that company. So just last week and earlier this week, we've been meeting with them to try to make sure that we get jobs in that location and that the eventual transfer and sale of that property benefits this community and is not a drag on it. And so they're committed to making sure that there's full communication. And then the college initiative, we're trying to site a college in our downtown to get that kind of walkability. For the first time in the 25-year history of our city, we actually have a written economic development policy and strategy. And we've got our economic development. Is Tim Johnson here? He's our economic development director, and he's just done a phenomenal job, and with input from the council, we've been really fortunate to move forward on that, and we're doing all kinds of great initiatives. And we're also reaching out to the business community. We kind of took a page from the playbook with these successful neighborhood connections, and we're doing business connection, and that was the first meeting. And we were talking about the downtown park at that. This was at one of the hotels downtown. So I'm going to introduce the deputy mayor. It's my honor to be your mayor. The most important part of this meeting is to hear from you. So thanks for letting me go on for just a few minutes. And at this time, what I'll do is I'll call our deputy mayor, Jean Burbidge, up. Jean?
Well, good evening. It's my delight to be here with you this evening. I'm very pleased to see so many folks. All 3 of our now adult children went to this school, had very good teachers here, so it's a special thrill to be here. And I just want to say a word of appreciation for our outstanding council members. You know, they are involved with each of these issues that you've heard mentioned in a very, very strong way. And but we all want to hear from you as council members. We want to know what your views are. We want to know what your concerns are. So please be in touch with us. But I especially want to mention some additional information about the 25th anniversary celebration. As someone who worked hard on along with my husband and many others, on the efforts to incorporate Federal Way as a city, the unsuccessful attempts, and finally the successful attempt. It's exciting to be having now a 25th anniversary celebration for our city. And as the mayor mentioned, this is scheduled for June 18th through the 21st. It starts off with a carnival, an old-fashioned carnival, as you will, with rides for families. This is going to be at TC3, the former Target location. Rides for families, including a 6-story Ferris wheel, games for kids, 18 different rides, something for all ages. And then the very special community celebration is on June 20th. There will be a proclamation by the governor, by the mayor, a renaming of 20th Avenue. There will be great food, lots of booths, bounce houses for kids, a petting zoo, along with pony rides. The festivities start at 11 a.m. and there will be some special performances by the Federal Way Symphony and by multiple bands, including Kalimba, which is the West Coast's premier Earth, Wind, and Fire cover band. And so again, there will be many booths highlighting Federal Way's history, also for the businesses in the community, and the festivities will end that day with a movie in the park. So we look forward to having you all join us for the celebration. Thank you.
Now I'd like to introduce Judge David Larson and a representative from the Dispute Resolution Center. Your Honor.
Hi, I'm Judge Dave Larson. Thank you, Mayor Farrell, for having us here. When I first became a judge, what I wanted to do in Federal Way is get dispute resolution more in the forefront. So we signed a memorandum of understanding with the Dispute Resolution Center of King County to hold mediations at our court. Back in 2010, the City Council passed a resolution supporting mediations in our court and in our community, and we've conducted several mediations since then. And I was a trial lawyer for 23 years before I became a judge, and I was one of those warriors that went to court. And a few years ago, I became a disciple of mediation because it's the only way people themselves decide the outcome. Otherwise, somebody else is always telling the outcome. They used to call us justices of the peace, because that's what mediation does, is provide a peaceful means of resolving disputes, provides the dignity of resolving disputes between the people involved. And so it's something that needs to be more and more part of our community, and I'm very pleased that Terry Randall, the Executive Director of the King County Dispute Resolution Center of King County, is here to address you, to tell you more. But I think it's something that our community is very fortunate to have. It didn't cost our community anything in terms of a budget item, but it's a very useful resource for our community, and I'm going to turn it over to Terry. Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for inviting us here tonight. I just wanted to speak for a minute or two and tell you a little bit more about the services that we offer. I'm Terry Randall, and I direct the Dispute Resolution Center of King County. And we're really excited about this partnership with Federal Way. Mostly we offer our mediation services up in our offices in North Seattle. But because of this partnership, we can now provide mediation services and just conflict coaching. Maybe you're having trouble with just want some help resolving the conflict on your own. We can provide those services for you now at the municipal courthouse here in Federal Way. I think it's really important just to remember that conflict is normal. You know, it's a normal part of being human and being in relationship with other people. You know, the question is just how can we deal with that conflict in a way that's healthy? Often we want to maintain a relationship with the person we're in conflict with. So we're here to help you with that. Mediation is a confidential process. It's facilitated by an impartial professional, and he helps you work together to resolve your disagreements and find solutions that are mutually agreeable and satisfying. So just to give you a sense of some of the types of disputes that we can help you with, family matters, such as divorce, asset division, and parenting plans. We help with foreclosures, landlord-tenant disputes, disputes between neighbors, business-consumer issues, and also issues surrounding elder care. And all of these services are provided on a sliding fee scale, so they are affordable. So if you're interested in working with us, you could give us a call at the Dispute Resolution Center of King County. I brought some rack cards, and I'll leave them on the table back there. And I'm also going to stay to the end of the meeting. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to speak with you. So just thank you for welcoming us. Thank you.
My name is Marwan Saloom. I'm the Public Works Director for the city. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a quick update on the upcoming construction project under the Transportation Division. What you have here is a map, and we have some extra map up front if you're welcome to take one. We have 8 projects scheduled for construction in 2015. The first project is the 2015 asphalt overlay. And thanks to our mayor and council, we have a dedicated fund for the overlay program. What we have as part of the overlay, we have one major project on 320th, and hopefully that will complete 320th all the way from 30th to 47th. That will be happening this summer. This project, as a matter of fact, it's already under construction. The second project is on First Avenue between 348 and 356. And the third project is within a residential area. That's a Twin Lake Highland. And that's where the contractor working at this time. It's mainly doing ADA ramp, upgrading all of the sidewalk as needed for safe pedestrian walkway. We have a project that at First Avenue at 328, as most likely all of you have driven through that project, is a T-intersection project today. There will be a traffic signal constructed at that particular project and will be converted into a 4-lane intersection. And the way we're going to do that is to close 2 driveways for the development and combine those 2 driveways into one. And this way we are able to have a safer intersection, and we're able to move the public through First Avenue and 328. That project under design, there's no right-of-way acquisitions necessary for that project. We just need a right of entry from the business owner to make sure that we're able to close the 2 driveways and open a safer driveway for them. Another project is South 304th at 28. This is also a T-intersection project, and that project will also construct a traffic signals and will be providing a wider intersection by adding a right turn lane from 28 to 304th. That project, the design is completed. We have 3 right-of-way we have to acquire, and we already acquired 2 of them, and we're still negotiating with the 3rd, and hopefully this project will be under construction this summer also. 352nd extension. This is going from Enchanted Parkway to SR99. So if you know where Costco is and Home Depot, this is the roadway. 352nd is the roadway right between those 2 businesses. The idea would be to extend that improvement all the way to SR99. That will relieve some of the pressure on 348, and people will be able to come on SR99, take 352nd to the business area of Costco and 356. Now this project is fully designed as we speak, and we have right-of-way acquisition. We have 5 parcels that we need to acquire. Most likely the acquisition will be a donation to the city for the right-of-way. We may have 1 or 2 parcels where we may have to acquire. We got $4 million from Transportation Improvement Board for this project. The city will be putting $2 million toward the project. The project cost total of $6 million. Our hope is to have the project under construction in 2015 through early 2016. So that project hopefully will be under construction in 2015 also. School zone enhancement, this is a program that the council have appropriated. They gave us $200,000 for 5 years, $200,000 each year for 5 years, to improve the safety at each of our elementary schools. That program, this is the 3rd year in that program. We already implemented it for the last 2 years. And this program, what you're going to have is Adelaide school zone on 304th. And as you guys drive in on 304th, you're going to see the new flasher that was, I believe, completed last week. The other 2 schools that scheduled for completion would be Wildwood Elementary School and Olympic View Elementary School. And the last project we have here is the Pedestrian Crossing Safety Program. This is another program that the council appropriated some fund for us. We have $300,000 in 2015 and $300,000 in 2016. And what you have here is a list of all of the about 9 locations where we'll be constructing the rapid flashing beacon that you see on 320th by the library, and you also see it on 320th by the, First Avenue by the library. We just upgraded it at that particular location. So we have 9 projects, and most of those projects will be constructed this summer also. That concludes my presentation. Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is John Hutton. I'm your Parks Director, and I am thrilled to be here tonight to talk about a couple of upcoming projects. Number one is right here at Adelaide Park, almost on the property of Adelaide School, so we're very happy to let you know that we did a public meeting here about 3.5 weeks ago, and at that public meeting, our citizens were able to help pick their own park. So with that, I'll show you the designs that were selected by the public, and we are moving forward. Here we go. This is the first of the designs that was selected. If you remember the old park, the footprint is large and it has a large retaining wall in a circular pattern behind it. So we selected toys that could incorporate that wall into the height of the project. So this was number 1. Here's another one that came in highly, and these are being researched right now with these designs being the number 1 choices for this replacement. As part of our projects, each year we replace a playground that is in need of replacement, and Adelaide was up this year. So these are the 3 big design features that were chosen, and these are depicted on boards in the back if you'd like to look at them closer through the evening. The last thing I want to talk to you this evening about, or second to last thing, this is Town Square Park that the mayor and deputy mayor mentioned. This is the latest iteration of the redesign. As you can see, and as the mayor mentioned, we're more than tripling the size of the grass, the Great Lawn area. There's over 130 trees out there, including flowering cherries and lots of maple, so we'll have color in the spring and the fall. We have a covered picnic area and an important splash park, spray park for kids up near the top, including 2 playgrounds for kids, a site for a future veterans memorial. We have parking and a great area for our holiday tree celebration, where we do the tree lighting down here in the bottom. Okay. That concludes my presentation. I'll be around if you have a question, and please take a look at the boards in the back. I'll turn it over to Chief Andy Wong.
In recent months, there's been a lot of discussion about police practices and police accountability. I'm going to share with you briefly tonight about what we're doing in the Federal Way Police Department to maintain that and to earn our community trust. I'll share that with you. Second, I'm going to share with you some crime statistical information, a comparison from 2013 to 2014, and also share with you our first 2 months, January and February crime statistics. Now, American policing has been around 177 years. First police department was Boston, Massachusetts in 1838. New York Police Department was number 2, 1851. Now, these professional police organization was created because of crime and disorder. And since when the police department was originally formed in America, there was tremendous amount of distrust, mistrust of our government and police, concern about police abuse and so forth. So if you look at American history, there's been tremendous reform of policing over the years. And if you look at the most recent, I shouldn't say most recent, in recent years, the Rodney King incident in 1991. I've been in police work about 3 years then when that occurred. And that had a profound impact in American policing. And since then, there's been a tremendous movement to try to diversify police departments, to have police department diversity represent the diversity of the communities that we're policing. We're not quite there yet, but that's a goal that we certainly try to attain. So what are we doing in the Federal Way Police Department? Well, recent years, so Ferguson, Missouri incident, then we had the New York incident, and more recent South Carolina, and then we had an incident in Baltimore. So all these incidents, we know that more work needs to be done, particularly building relationship and building trust with our minority community. So we're certainly working towards that. What are we doing in the Federal Way Police Department? One, we have incredibly dedicated men and women that are serving this community. And we're going to continue to hire the very best people to carry out the mission of our organization. So that's priority number one. The most important resource that we have in the city are our staff. So we're going to hire the best people that we can find. Number two is training. Now, state mandate requires that we provide minimum of 24 hours of training to our police officers. And looking at our stats last year, 2014, on average, our police officers received 128 hours of training. And we try to provide the best training for our people. One of the things that we do is we provide reality-based training. So what that means is whether it's emergency vehicle operation, use of force, whether it's firearm or defensive tactics, we put our officers in a real reality-based training. We put them in a stressful environment so that when they're out there in the real world and they encounter a use of force incident, we can count on having the best likely outcome. And I will tell you, in police work, it's very dynamic, it can be very violent, and sometimes the work itself is very ugly. But providing the very best training, we're going to have the very possible judgment decisions that are being made by our people. Third area, another thing is that we provide ethics training, and we provide bias and impartial training to all our people. Third area, one of the goals for our department is be approachable and accessible to our community. So when we have events like this, it's an opportunity for us to share with you what we're doing in the police department. So I'm not here because I'm going to be fined by the mayor's office if I don't show up. This is actually a very positive thing for us to reach out to our community. And then we have, in terms of minority community, we have chiefs call on a quarterly basis. I meet with the minority community, particularly the African American community. We just exchange information. How are we doing? How can we do better? And we take that information and incorporate it into our training. We also meet with the Korean community. All citizens are invited, but we meet with the Korean community on a quarterly basis as well to try to reach out to the minority community. And the last thing, fourth thing, probably the most important thing that really drives our organization is that we are a nationally accredited law enforcement agency. We are accredited by the Commission on Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agency. In the police world, that is by far the most difficult accreditation that you can attain as a police organization. There are only 7 agencies in the state of Washington that is accredited by CLIA. So we're one of those 7 agencies in the state. What does that mean? It means that we have the practices in to hire the right people, provide the right training, right policies in place. But I'm going to tell you again, we're hiring people from the human race. We can make mistakes, and when we do, we're going to always try to strive to improve. So those are some of the things we're doing in the police department. Now, here's our mission statement. This is our foundation. We developed a brand new mission statement in 2014 when I became the chief of police. And it was very important. We did a department survey, met with every work group, feedback, a 2-day strategic planning workshop with our leadership team. We developed this mission statement. This is our foundation. Everything derives from our mission statement. So if you go back to the other slide, this is our department motto, earning the public trust. And it derives from our mission statement when we developed it. So our motto kind of came along with it by accident, but we developed that. But I thought that was important to share with you that every new employee that gets hired, I just wanted to share how many calls for service that we respond to on an annual basis. If you look at this number, 63,000 calls for service. On average, on a 24-hour period on a given day, our residents called 911 171 times. That's how many times they called on average. So We're a city of 92,700 people, and what that means, the top 4 calls for service that is pretty consistent. One is the number 1 call, 911 call, is suspicious person or a suspicious vehicle. That's our number 1 call. The second, the most calls that we respond to is theft. Somebody breaking into a vehicle, shoplifting, stealing is number 2. And sometimes domestic violence and auto theft fluctuate, but number 3rd call is domestic violence. On average, we respond, in a 24-hour period, we respond to 7 domestic violence calls in a day. Now, we know domestic violence is far underreported, but we go to about 250 domestic violence calls a month. And then the last call is auto accidents. And I shared with you before last year, the most dangerous thing that you and your family could be involved in is auto accidents. So we put certain level of emphasis there, but we have about 200 auto accidents in a given month. So those are the top 4 calls for service, and we're very thankful for the mayor and council to support to add 5 additional officers in this year's budget, and they'll be fully deployed sometime next year. So crime statistics, we did well in 2014. Just comparing 2013 to 2014, our overall crime was reduced by 1%. So when you look at our crime rate, 2012, 13, and 14, we've been pretty consistent, pretty flat in our community. And residential homicide, we went from 6 to 4, and most homicide, I shouldn't say most, at least half of all our homicides are domestic violence related. And I shared that with you last year. You know, sometimes we worry about strangers hurting us, but in reality, whether it's a violent attack or a homicide, generally it's someone you know. Now, Adelaide community, we're also doing very well. Last year, 2014, there were a total of 52 crimes. 1st January and February of this year, 24, reduction of 54. And I'll point out, just in your reporting district, 91 here, there are no residential burglaries and I don't think we can keep it at 0, but up to through January, there have been no residential burglaries in this particular reporting district. And then our downtown substation, when we started the meeting, somebody came up to me and said, you know, I'm seeing a lot more police officers coming and going from this building. What we did is once we got the substation, and we have 2 working units working out of the downtown substation. Next is our automatic license plate reader, one of the ways to combat crime. And again, this was mayor initiative to add additional ALPR technology to our fleet. Now we have a total of 3. So just through March, we had about 50 auto vehicle recoveries and about 16 arrests. And lastly here, Nick and Derek project. As a result of the emphasis patrol, we had 34 additional DUI arrests and 1,094 distracted driving tickets issued last year. And distracted driving ticket, if you remember my presentation, it's a growing problem in this country. Our fatality numbers are climbing back up, and we are putting an emphasis to keep our streets safer here in Federal Way. So we will continue to put higher emphasis on traffic safety.
I think this is the most important part of the evening. We'd love to hear from you. We've got our department directors out. We've got our police chief here. If you have any questions, we've got microphones. We've got Jeffrey McAnally, our school board president. Sir.
Yeah, so if we look at the east and west, north and south entrances into the school, 3 of them have pathways or sidewalks in, but 1 has nothing. And that path that goes from 304th between 16th and 12th Avenue Southwest, east, there are 4 houses that you have to walk in the street in order to get to and from. And there's a lot of foot traffic that happens there. So I would really encourage the city to consider putting some kind of walking path in that area because of the traffic that goes through there. I walk that path daily now, and we're going to end up with some kind of accident if we don't do something.
Thank you very much for saying that. Marwan, did you grab that? Did you get that information? All right. And our Rick Perez, normally at these meetings, actually I always joke with Rick that we should have him mic'd up before we get started. Rick Perez, can you say hi to everybody? For all your traffic questions, he's the guy, he's our senior traffic engineer, a real guru. And so if you've got questions about traffic related issues, let us know. Are there any other questions? Please. Oh, I see the queue right there.
I have a question for the police department.
Yeah, Andy, Chief. Where'd the chief go? Sir.
Oh, okay.
There's a question for the police department.
Yeah, I have a question on where I could go to next. I filed an online police report with both Federal Way Police and Des Moines Police when our identity was stolen last August. We thought we had it under control. We have since learned that a individual or individuals, we have learned their address in Woodmont, who took our ID and opened an account in our name, and in 20 days they ran up $12,000 worth of charges in Federal Way in Kent, Auburn, Berry, and Des Moines. I gave the address and the name on the tax records anyway that I looked up to both police departments, and I've never heard another word from anybody.
You will now.
Anyway, I just don't know who else to look for.
Well, can I have you, this is an individual reporting issue. Do you have anything general in the issue before we follow up individually?
No, I'm going to have Commander Hatfield back there speak with you.
Okay.
Looks like you did the initial report. There's been more activity. Based on that, it looks like we need to do some follow-up, potentially follow-up investigation. So he'll get your information, and we'll be in touch with you.
All right, thank you very much for letting us know. Nancy, how are you?
I wanted to speak for those who aren't here today and who really don't have a voice as far as speaking of their concerns. I belong to a church that, as Diana knows, because she's sitting right down there, and she cooks the meals for them. These are the people who are on the street, who are homeless, perhaps have some mental health problems. We associate with them. And the police department, of course, on occasion will be called. If there's somebody in the library, come get that person. If there's a person on the church property in the past, there has been somebody called, the police, to come get them. So there's really that population here in our community that has a need. And I think you've spoken, or it has been spoken or intended to be developed, was at least a daytime place. I haven't heard an update on it. I don't know if there's any information to share further on that today.
Well, Nancy, there's been a lot of work on this since I spoke to the, remember the day that we put the big flagpole up and the big flagpole? On that very same night, we had, Sound Alliance had a big meeting. Right, 300 people were there at a local church talking about their commitment to this issue. So we have had, I would say, bi-weekly meetings with representatives of Sound Alliance moving forward. It's going to take a partnership between a number of different agencies. The first thing we did is I reached out to our state legislators and also the Senate Majority Floor Leader, Joe Fain from the Kent district, and trying to get about $100,000 in the capital, in the state budget, to make sure that we have the resources to start a regional effort and to sort of some seed money to start this. And that is underway, and that's in the budget right now, but they're in negotiations. The second thing is, it's really about getting Sound Alliance and their individual partners matched up with the Valley cities. It's ongoing. The city of Federal Way is not going to build the facility. What we're trying to do is help people come together and help site. And actually, we were just this week, we had a well-known realtor in our office with my chief of staff, Brian Wilson, talking with Sound Alliance representatives about trying to help them with which location in town, which land parcel would be. First, you got to get a piece of land. Then what you've got to do is figure out the brick and mortar aspect of the building, and then you've got to figure out how it's programmed and how it's funded. And then, once we go through that process, we've got to make sure that this goes through. We give out. Last year, we had budgeted, I think, $765, if I remember the number correctly, I think it's $765,000 for human services funding that went through the Human Services Commission and then was awarded by the council. This year, we have budgeted $1,004,000 for human services funding. And so what we need to do is get them on track to where they've got a site facility, they've got a plan to get that built, and then they've got a plan to have it run, and then we're going to get an application in for human services funding. So there's a lot of moving parts, but I can tell you we're working even as of this week, we've been working on getting that together. But it's ongoing, and we're moving as absolutely fast as we can.
Great, thank you.
All right, thank you, Nancy.
Marion Bartholomew. I live about 2 blocks from here, and thank you all for being here tonight. I think these meetings are a really good idea. I have a generic request. It's safety related. As you continue to approve more and more multifamily housing apartment complexes, would you please ensure that the apartment complexes must provide totally off-the-street parking?
Right.
And I would, thank you. And I would invite each of you, when you exit tonight, to drive south on 16th to fortify my request. It's truly, particularly when the school buses come through here in the
Right.
afternoons, that's a major safety issue. So please, and retroactively, clean that up, will you? I don't park my car in the street. Why are they allowed to?
Right.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Marion. Go ahead. Hi.
Hello, Mayor. I just came honestly to thank you. We hear a lot of good things that are brought up that are problems, but I wanted to thank you and the City Council for honestly being one of the finest groups I've ever seen. I've been working with the city as a volunteer for many years, and I'm thankful for what you all are doing. I'm thankful for the TV show that you're putting back on. I hope you put more programming. And I wanted to also do a plug as a citizen who's been part of the CERT team, Community Emergency Response Team,
Right.
to give a plug and a shout out to Ray Gross and for Sharon Green for the work that they're doing. And I wanted to encourage the community that we are a one big family. So for us to come and expect these men and women to do all the work for us while we bring our complaints and we don't step up the plate to do something is not balanced. And there are opportunities in the city which are really wonderful. One is the Community Emergency Response Team. I'm going to get free training on CPR and AED this particular May. I get training in emergency response, medical response to an emergency, and I feel part of the community. And there's also a program where you can be involved with your neighbors. It's all free. They give you free equipment, free backpacks, free training. It's wonderful. And they cater to people of any age and any ability. So there's seniors that participate. And the other thing I wanted to encourage you is maybe taking some of these awesome concerned citizens and adding a few more commissions, having like a neighborhood watch commission and maybe a homeless, population commission where people can come together and bring solutions and work. But I just wanted to say thank you for giving us the opportunities.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Hi.
Go ahead.
Rose Rattery, concerned citizen and all that.
Right.
Remember,
I
I
do.
want to be on your committee. Okay, here's my thing. You know those apartments you're building on 320th Street?
Well, we're not building them, but they are being built. Yes.
The apartments that are being
Yes.
built on 320th Street?
Uptown. They changed it from the Highland to Uptown now.
Okay.
They changed the name.
Okay, do you have another way of those, I think you're supposed to say egress and all that sort of stuff, of people coming and going other than 320th Street? Are you going to build another street, another sidewalk, something like that?
Well, what they don't want to do, though, is the neighborhood right behind that would really be unhappy if we put a egress-ingress on the backside going through their neighborhood. So what we want to do is I think they've got it worked out to where I think it's right in, right out, but there's going to be a turn signal right there on 11th, right there where the Safeway is. So there's going to be a left-hand turn there. So they've actually, but go ahead, Rose.
I was going to say, I'm from New York, and in
Yeah.
New York we do a lot of eminent domain.
Right.
So you can do what you want, but I think you should have something other than just 320th Street. So, never mind about they're upset about the back. Use the back streets. I think you're going to have a problem with 320th Street.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Thank you very much.
Put me on the committee.
All right. Thank you. Be careful what you ask for. You may just do that. Come on up, please.
I'm not sure if this is the right place to bring this up. I have an environmental concern. My sister's here with me. For 40 years almost, we've been part of a community beach. And I watched it, and this is the first day I've actually gotten wet going down it because it always had a canopy and it had a stream underneath, and it's always been taken care of. And lately, it's getting stripped down. I mean, like I'm picturing Oso, as far as possible degradation of soil. Is there anything, and I wish I was at that meeting, but it's always been so well taken care of. I've never expected it to be stripped down. I don't know if it's for a view or what. But my concern is environmentally. There's nesting eagles there, there's kingfishers, there's wildlife.
So you're talking about beach erosion?
I'm talking about a possibility of a community being, it's looking like it's getting clear cut.
Oh, I see.
Is there anything that I can do now that I missed the meeting because it's always been such a beautiful place? I never thought that they would just
Right. Let me, what I'm going to do, you know, part of the reason why I make sure that our directors are here is that instead of having this lost in translation, we'll get back to you.
Yeah.
I'm going to have you talk to Marwan, our Public Works Director. Let's make sure that we understand exactly what you're talking about.
Okay.
And I'll go out there and check it out and make sure I understand exactly what the concern is.
Yeah.
And we'll see what we can do, whether it's the state, whether it's, they're not supposed to be clear cutting unless.
Yeah, and it's not complete, but I could see where it's heading. And I'm concerned because once again, for 40 years, we've been part of this community and it was beautiful and it's just getting chopped and to the point where I got soaked. I've never gotten wet going down there before. So,
Okay, well, we'll have, Marwan will get your information. The most important thing is we get your information so we can follow up and we get the exact location.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, any other comments? Oh, we've got one right here. Oh, Nancy Combs. Hi, Nancy.
Well, I guess I've lived here longer than most of you. And I'm really tired of what's happened to us in Federal Way. I don't want to move because somebody wants to use our road. It is not a freeway. I live on 21st. And they come up starting at 6, sometimes 5 in the morning. You can hear the roar of the cars coming, and the lights flash in our house. Once you're awake, you don't just suddenly go back to sleep. I have pictures, I have petitions of everything that's happened here in Federal Way, and it's sad.
All right, thank you, Nancy. Thank you. All right, yes, sir. More recycling events? You know, we've got a great, Jeanette, actually. They don't have enough what? Okay, recycling events. Okay, where's, Marwan, can you, oh, Kathy's got that. Actually, Marwan, can you grab this gentleman's name? Let's have Jeanette give him a call. Sir.
Sure, Steve Coates, and I really appreciate coming out, appreciate the event, the opportunity. I got to hear most of it. I would like to suggest that maybe you should consider changing the time.
Yeah, what do you think?
6:30 or 7?
Okay.
Look at the demographics. How many working people working downtown made it?
Right. What do you guys think about the third? You know, we did all of our neighborhood connections on Thursday nights. What do you guys think about Thursdays?
Thursday worked well.
Thursday? It seems like...
If you work till 5 downtown, you're going to commute?
Yeah.
You're not going to be here by 6.
I know. Yeah, I was doing that commute. Okay, so we'll work on the time. Let me think about that. We're kind of going back. Instead of 6, thank you very much for your suggestion. We always try to manage, try to figure out exactly what time, where, but instead of 6 meetings like we did last year, we're going to go down to 4 and make sure that we really make best use of our time and resources. Any other questions?
Where the body cameras?
No.
Okay, is there any plans to even look at something like that?
You know, I think the first thing I would do, and I'll turn this over to the chief in a second, but the first thing I would want more of is, you know, I was a King County prosecutor for 16 years, and I was a city prosecutor for 3 years before that. I spent 19 years as a prosecutor. Before I did the body cams, I would put the cameras in the cars. Boy, those cameras in the cars are so important. I think there's a whole bunch of issues that go with the body cams. Number one, storage of cost, storage of all that data and all that material, and you know, then you've got probably some union issues.
This should Federal Way PD use, you know, body cams. I think at this stage we're really paying attention, monitoring. There's technology issue as to which company or device is going to really merge as the top-notch equipment. Then there's always a cost issue. So when you implement it, sounds simple enough, but you're going to need people, FTE. There's cost, managing the data, public disclosure requests. There's privacy issues. There's law issues. At this point, because there is no pressure internally or externally in our community, we're just waiting to see what merges in the next year or so. It's a possibility, but just right off the get-go, it's probably going to cost, you know, $250,000 to $400,000 a year, something like that, to get it going. And that's like equivalent to 5 police officers. So you have to kind of look at the issue there. But we are closely paying attention because these incidents is going to transform police. It's going to change.
Any other questions? Thank you.
There's always more to talk about, but that's all the time we have for tonight. We want to thank Adelaide Elementary School and all those who came out to share their views and opinions and to make a connection with their neighbors and with City Hall. If you have any questions or need information, we encourage you to contact the mayor's office. Stay involved. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. And check with the city often. There's a lot going on around Federal Way. Stay tuned. The city is coming to a neighborhood near you. Until then, I'm Kathy Arndt, and we'll see you at the next Neighborhood Connection and right here on New Day Federal Way.